In the coldest corners of the earth, where nature seems immortal, a silent invader has emerged. It has brought billions of dollars in profits, but left behind destruction. For Alaskan fishermen, it's a treasure, but for scientists, it's a ruthless predator tearing up the Northern Ocean. $1 billion crab, but reviled as an invasive killer. What is it doing here, really? That's king crab, once a royal delicacy, now a ticking time bomb of Alaska's oceans. And the story you are about to witness may change the way you look at the ocean forever. This is The Discover, Invasive Royal Crab. How this $1 billion species is attacking Alaska's northern seas. The story of the king crab begins with a daring experiment by Soviet biologists and fishermen under the management of the Soviet Fisheries Research Institute. In 1961, the Soviet Union launched a large-scale biological relocation program. Over nearly a decade, from 1961 to 1969, they transported more than 1.5 million larvae, 10,000 juveniles, and about 2,600 adults from the Kamchatka region of the Pacific Ocean to the Barents Sea, near the Kola Bay. The ambition at that time was clear: to turn this crab species into a biological gold mine, opening up new commercial seafood sources for the country. At first, things went quietly. But after just over a decade, by the mid-1970s, king crabs demonstrated extraordinary resilience. They began reproducing naturally in the Barents Sea and then quickly spread out of control. What makes them the perfect invaders? First of all, their enormous size. With leg spans that can reach up to 6 feet and weights of over 22 pounds, they are giants of the ocean. Their armor is as thick as iron, their large, strong pincers can crack the hardest shells, and with a lifespan of over 20 years, they have enough time to multiply to overwhelming levels. A single female can produce 500,000 eggs in a season. When the eggs hatch, the larvae drift along with the ocean currents, spreading throughout the ocean. This rapid reproduction rate makes the king crab a giant cloning machine. They eat everything they come across, from mollusks, starfish, sea worms, to even cod eggs. And unlike many other species, Alaskan king crabs have virtually no natural predators. No sharks, no killer whales choose them as regular food. Free to breed, free to destroy. That's the perfect recipe for an invasive species. But while scientists are concerned about their spread, for Alaskan fishermen, the boom means riches. And to understand this paradox, we have to go to sea, where king crab fishing is considered one of the most dangerous jobs on the planet. In Alaska, king crab hunting is not just a job, but a battle for survival. This is where humans challenge the sea, and sometimes pay with their lives. King crab fishing in Alaska is known as the most dangerous job in America. On the cold Bering Sea, one small mistake can be the last mistake. Each steel cage, crab pot, heavier 600 pounds. In gusts of wind and shaking decks, they become death machines. Just slipping off the hoist rope, a falling pot can crush a sailor in an instant. Hundreds of feet below sea level, where the water is just a few degrees above 0 degrees Celsius, king crabs lurk. But to reach them, fishermen must endure days of snowstorms, sleep deprivation, and numb hands that prickle like needles in the freezing temperatures, minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. A shift can be long, 20 hours continuously, a few minutes of restless sleep, right on the cold, wet deck. Sailors must always be alert, because if they lose their balance and fall into the cold sea, their chance of survival is less than 2 minutes. When the pot rises, it is a matter of survival. A pot full of crabs can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. But sometimes, after hours of waiting in the storm, fishermen only pull up empty pots. Disappointment follows exhaustion, but no one is allowed to stop. In the bone-chilling cold, blood and sweat mixed with ice and snow. But they still had to continue because behind them were their families and the hope of escaping poverty from dangerous sea voyages. For Alaskan fishermen, king crab is a life-changing opportunity. But for factories on shore, the challenge is just beginning. For these creatures to become a luxury in restaurants around the world, they must undergo a meticulous processing process. After days and nights of facing snowstorms and rough seas, the king crab's journey is not over yet. From the moment it is pulled from the sea, the clock begins to count down. Each crab must be processed within a few hours, otherwise its value could be halved. On board, fishermen separate the crabs into batches. Only the large, healthy males make it into the processing chain. The rest are released back into the sea, a cycle designed to make the industry sustainable.
Last day of the first trip. So we're still on crab for our 40 pots. Hopefully get we'll reach our goal of 30,000 crab this trip. We might be a little bit shy, but all in all, it's been a darn good trip.
Where'd all this crap on deck come from?
From the hopper!
Huh? That's what I heard.
Oops, I'm sorry. Got so much water.
At processing facilities along the harbor, king crabs are cleaned and then placed in giant steamers. The rapid steaming at high temperatures helps the meat retain its sweetness and firm texture. They are then instantly cooled in 34 degrees Fahrenheit seawater, then de-legged for packaging. Each pound of crab legs can be sold for between $40 to $50, depending on the market. A standard refrigerated container can be worth tens of thousands of dollars before it leaves port. Within days, Alaskan king crab was available in the world's biggest markets. From Japanese supermarkets, high-end restaurants in Seoul, to luxury banquet tables in New York and Los Angeles. On the dining table, king crab is more than just food. It is a symbol of luxury, a dish for important occasions, for the elite, for those willing to pay a high price to enjoy the red gold of the sea. On the dining table, king crab is more than just food. It is a symbol of luxury, a dish for important occasions, for the elite, for those willing to pay a high price to enjoy the red gold of the sea. Not everyone considers king crabs a treasure. For ecologists, their massive appearance is like a silent storm, because the more crabs, the more the fragile balance of Alaska's ecosystem is lost. King crabs are omnivores. They eat mollusks, seaworms, starfish, and even cod eggs, which are important food sources for many native fish. A large swarm can wipe out an area in a matter of days, leaving the seabed bare. In some areas, the spread of king crab has caused cod and herring populations to decline dramatically, costing other fisheries hundreds of millions of dollars. One species brings in nearly $1 billion a year to Alaska, but takes the livelihood of other fishermen. History offers a warning. In the Barents Sea, king crabs have spread as far as the Norwegian coast in just a few decades. Native populations have dwindled while the crabs have continued to multiply out of control. Scientists fear a similar scenario is brewing in Alaska. For every pound of crab that gets on board, Alaska's ecosystem loses a little bit of its balance. And that paradox begs the question, are we exploiting a resource, or are we helping an invasive species destroy the ocean? In this paradox, money and ecology collide head-on. To understand it better, we need to look at the numbers, the enormous economic value of king crab, and the environmental cost Alaska is paying. The Alaskan king crab industry brings in nearly $1 billion per year. With retail prices that can exceed $50 a pound, it is one of the most expensive seafood in the world. Thousands of families depend on the crab season, from fishing boat crews to processing workers and coastal port workers. This is the paradox: a species both feeds and takes. Fishing more helps the economy thrive, but if overfished, the risk of the entire population collapsing is real. Conversely, limiting fishing to conserve deprives fishermen of their main source of income. In this balancing act, there is no perfect choice. To maintain a balance between economy and environment, Alaska must rely on science and strict management regulations. But the question is, can humans really control this billion-dollar crab? To prevent ecological collapse, Alaska imposes strict quotas. No RA surveys, the state sets production, keeps only male crabs with shells over 6.5 inches, releases all females and juveniles, and even closes entire waters. But there is always a delicate balance between exploitation and conservation. If management is too lax, the ecosystem will pay the price. And the future of Alaskan king crab depends on whether humans can maintain this delicate balance or not. And despite strict management, the king crab, a billion-dollar invasive species, still leaves one unanswered question.
Move it! Watch your back!
The king
Push those
crab,
crates to the truck!
a species that is both a treasure and a menace.
Mind your hands
It
there.
feeds thousands of families
Careful with that
and
one.
brings in billions of dollars each year. We threw them into the sea half a century ago, and now they are reshaping the fate of Alaska. The question is not just how much can we get, but do humans really control this billion-dollar crab, or are they being controlled by it?
Weather's finally come up. Looks like we still got a few crab to catch. John, Danny, Peter.
This is The Discover. Thank you for following our journey. If you have any questions about this king crab, please share them in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to discover more mysterious stories of nature.